Hi everyone, it's Ella. I'm a 21-year-old woman of transgender experience. And this, I haven't, मतलब बहुत time हो गया, I haven't made a YouTube video is because I didn't feel like it for the longest time, and also I feel like I never had the time long format के लिए. It takes a lot of energy and मेरे पास इतना कुछ बोलने को था ही नहीं. But the thing is, right now, life kind of sucks. And I think this is gonna be my outlet now because the first time my life really sucked when I was having मतलब बहुत सारे issues with myself. I was in a really fucked up situation. I was learning a lot of things about me, my family. We were fixing our relationship. I was just learning about life, and then making these videos and documenting my feelings really helped me. मतलब मेरा वो growing up transgender wala series, that's basically me documenting the things that life has taught me. And so I think this is also something that felt kind of important to me, and honestly I don't really have anything else to do right now, and I think it's good for me to let it out. So things are not good for me right now in my personal life. Everything's all over the place. My surgery, as you all know, was delayed because I gained weight, and I mean I could get the surgery now, but it's better to be like a healthy weight surgery ke liye. So that's really difficult. I'm having a really hard time losing weight because I don't know, it's harder now, and it's never been difficult for me to lose weight in my entire life. Like I could lose weight like that, but obviously estrogen and all make it harder for you to lose weight. And then the past, I would say at least 8 months of my life, a lot of stress, lots and lots of stress, mainly from my personal life and my relationship. Things weren't great. Like it was a really messed up situation for me, and so I think I put on a lot of weight because I was just eating. I kid you not, like har raat, every night at like 2 3 a.m. I'm like KFC, KFC. It's also like 15 minutes away from my place, so that's also really fucked up. So I gained a lot of weight, and then my relationship recently, we separated, it didn't work out, and I have a lot of feelings, and I have a lot of anger, and I have a lot of frustration because I really, I don't know. Not that you don't want any relationship to work. Like everybody gets into a relationship thinking like you want this to work, but then this time I'm kind of like I'm just really mad because it doesn't make sense to me because I was heartbroken the first time in my life, and then in that relationship I was very young. I didn't know. I was also very insecure. तो मतलब मैंने ना life में कभी अपनी problems किसी से discuss नहीं करी. Like if I'm with a guy and he's not treating me right, I would never say anything. And then I didn't say anything, and I didn't say anything, and then one day like इतना ज़्यादा वो भर गया that I just randomly broke up with him. And when I spoke to my ex at that time, he said, I had no clue that all these things were bothering you. I wish you would have told me and maybe we could have done something. And then I was like, fuck. That makes so much sense. Like if you talk about your problems, you can fix your problems. And then that relationship taught me that you can talk and you can let people know what you like, what you don't like, or if you are having an issue with them, तुम उनसे बात कर सकते हो, and then you can work on the issue together. So after that relationship, I spent my whole time and energy into talking about everything, about myself, about others. मेरे parents के साथ उस time पे relationship अच्छी नहीं थी. It was really stressed. We had a lot of issues growing up. हमारी बहुत चीज़ों पे we didn't see eye to eye. So I was like, we'll talk about it. No matter how difficult it gets, you talk, and then things work out. Like अगर मम्मी और मेरी relationship थोड़ी cold थी, then we'll talk about what's making us distant. Like हमें मुझे उनसे क्या problem है, आपको मुझसे क्या problem है, and then we'll figure it out. And then I fixed my relationship with my friends, my family, everything was figuring out. I fixed my relationship with myself. I fixed myself in so many ways because I asked myself so many questions. I tried to talk to myself. I was like, if you think like this, why do you think like this? That whole thing. And so what I learned from my first heartbreak was you have to talk. And then I did everything I had to do, and then eventually I met someone else. And then this time I was like, okay, you have to talk, and you have to tell them everything, how you feel, what you like, what you don't like. If there's a problem, you have to tell them. And then I did. And in the beginning of the relationship, I was very strong on like, I like this, I like that, this is a red flag for me, this is definitely something I like, this is definitely a no-go. Like शुरू में सब कुछ बता दो. And the funny thing about guys that I've met is like, if you don't tell them, then they blame you for not telling them. But if you tell them what you want, then वो acting कर लेते हैं. Like, like if you tell a guy that you're really into poetry, then they're just gonna be like, oh yeah, me too. Like I didn't realize, I wasn't prepared for that part of it. Like if you tell a guy everything about you, they'll just act. If you tell them everything about what you want, what you like, what you don't like, sometimes they'll just pretend to be that. So that was really fucked up, and this situation wasn't really working out. And then eventually we worked on our issues. The guy was great, and I'm so grateful that it happened. I had some of the best memories, and it's an amazing situation. But it was a whole thing other than us. This is what I've learned from this relationship, is that it's not about two people. Not for me, especially in the country that we live in. A relationship, marriage ho ya if it's like a boyfriend girlfriend situation or whatever it is, it's never about the two people. It's about the two people, it's about their friends, it's about their family, it's about their past, about their future, about their career. Like itni sari cheezein hoti hain beyond just the two people who are in a relationship. And I never believed, like I mean, I was very like, okay, if the guy is nice to me or hamari ban rahi hai, then that's all that matters, right? Like I'm very like that. I'm like, if I like the guy, I'll do anything for him. If I have to leave home, if I have to like work harder, if I have to make more money, if I have to like change a few things about my life, if I have to cut people off, whatever it takes, right? Like I'm very like that. And what I realized is like not everyone's like that, and not that that makes them wrong. It's just that not everyone's wired that way. I think I'm just very headstrong, and it's the boon and the bane of my existence from what I've realized. So, for instance, when I'm with someone, if I have an issue with them, I'm like, we should solve it now. We should talk about it now. It doesn't matter. Like, if we're at dinner, I don't care. If it's somebody's birthday, I don't care. I don't care. Like, if the issue is arising now, we'll talk about it now. If we're in a relationship now, we'll tell everyone about it now. Like, we're not gonna wait. There's no right time. In my mind, there's no right time. I think you just make the time the right time, because the right time never comes, honestly. That's how I operated. And then the person I was dating was very sort of waiting for things to happen for them. They're not very like taking charge. And again, that's not to say that I'm right or he's wrong. It's just that these are very different mindsets. And I think being in a relationship with someone who isn't, besides being a great person and loving me the most that I've ever been loved by a romantic partner, besides all of that, if our values were really different, the way we thought was really different, the way we thought about life was really different, the way we thought about making decisions, important decisions, financial decisions, or like family decisions, or like future, like all of those things, our values were really, really different. Like, and I felt like मतलब घुटन सी होने लग गई थी मेरे को, because I was like, it was, for me, it was like going back to that phase where I was just starting out and no one knew about me. मेरी family को कुछ नहीं पता था मेरे बारे में, and I had to hide everything. I had to hide the fact, मतलब मेरे को सबसे छुपा के रखना था कि मैं कौन हूँ, मुझे क्या पसंद है, मैं कहाँ जाती हूँ, मैं क्या पहनती हूँ, मैं क्या करती हूँ, वो सब छुपा के रखना था. There was a phase in my life, and now we had to do that, but I didn't have to do it with the guy. Excuse me, I didn't have to hide anything from the guy. I didn't have to hide anything from my family, but his family, it's a whole different thing. And that indirectly just kept fucking with me, because it felt like I'd come so far, and I'd fought and fought and fought so many years and so many people to be able to just be so loud and so public and so honest and so just out there about everything, and having to hide. Even this, not that he ever wanted to make me a secret or anything like that. He tried his best to get his family on board as well, but it didn't work out. So eventually we ended up in a situation where we had to be careful about where we were going, who we were seen with. And that relationship dynamic was really just honestly killing me, because like I said, I've worked way too hard to not have to hide. And so it just felt like such a regressive state for me to be in, and things didn't work out. The long and short of it all is like, I'm really confused and frustrated right now, because my part, what I could have done, I did everything right. And him, most of it, he did right as well. But then, like I said, this is what life teaches you, is like a relationship is never about just two people. And I think that's part of growing up. And my mom always said this to me, and like all the people that I know who are like older or wiser or have been in a bunch of relationships, they're like, it's never about just two people. There's so much more to it. And I think I'm just starting to learn that now. It's like, I'm frustrated because, like, let's say it's an exam, right? What can you do to do good on an exam? You can study, you can eat well, you can sleep well, you can prepare, you can make notes, you can take sample papers, anything and everything that is necessary for you to do good in an exam, tumne kiya. And then you didn't score well. Why? Because jo paper check kar raha tha, he wasn't in the mood. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's always, like, life isn't as black and white as I thought. Like, I don't know, I'm very like that. मतलब मेरे लिए लोग या तो अच्छे इंसान होते हैं या बुरे इंसान होते हैं, या तो कुछ चलता है या नहीं चलता है, कुछ सही होता है, कुछ गलत होता है. And I think now I'm realizing that there's so much gray in life besides the black and white, and I don't think I'm gonna be used to that for a very long time. I was always taught to be a good person, and the values that I was taught, I've realized that a lot of those don't translate into real life. Like जैसे बचपन में हमें बोला गया था कि like if you do the right thing, if you do the kind thing, then तुम्हारे साथ सब अच्छा होगा, and like that's not necessarily true. I mean, I guess maybe long run में all this will teach me something and I will grow from it 100%. Life will teach you, but life will teach you through pain and hurt. Like nobody told me that. Everyone told me that like you had to be a good person, you had to be an honest person, you had to like say your feelings and do your best, and then everything would happen, and then I did everything and then it still didn't happen. So I guess I'm just frustrated because मेरा वो बचपन का vision, I'm having to give that vision up and realize that like life isn't black and white, और अच्छे के साथ अच्छा और बुरे के साथ बुरा, और बुरा इंसान बुरा और अच्छा इंसान बुरा. Like it's a lot. Like I don't understand. It's so much, but like I'm trying to make my peace with it. The worst part of it all right now is the shame and the guilt that I feel. Obviously, from when a relationship doesn't work out, you always feel kind of guilty. You feel like मैंने क्या अलग किया जा सकता था, या फिर मेरी तरफ से क्या कमी रह गई. I'm sure he's sitting there thinking of 10 things that he did wrong, or like maybe वो क्या कर सकता था, or he wishes he did it this way, he wishes it that way, and that kind of guilt is there obviously. But there's another layer to it. Me, besides my personal life, professional life is great. Every milestone is there. I just took my first international trip. I've wanted that for I don't know how long in my life, and the first time I step out of the country, it was a fully sponsored, paid trip, not a penny out of my pocket, by a brand to the beautiful place of Abu Dhabi. Like that's the dream. Like it's the dream. I'm living the dream, but I was sad. Do you know what I mean? Like I felt so spoiled. I felt like such a brat. Ki like I feel like getting on a yacht in the middle of Dubai is a chore. Like मेरे को दुबई में घूमना ऐसा लग रहा था कि क्या punishment है यार. Like I don't want any of it. Like fuck all of this. Like all I want is like him and us and love and all these things. And I feel so spoiled for even saying this out loud, because people dream of what I have, the life that I have, the people that I have in my life, the support that I have, the love that I have, the fame, the money, the everything. I have it all, and I'm gonna make so much more because that's my gift. That's something to be so grateful for, because not only do I have abundance, but I can create more. But I'm sad still. Like after all of those things, I'm still sad. And so I felt really ashamed. I just did a magazine cover. I wanted to be on the cover of a magazine for so long, and I just did it. And all I wanted was for it to be over and to go home and to have somebody to talk to, and I didn't. It's okay. I was like, रोक लेते हैं video, थोड़ा रोके, I'll continue, but it's not my first time crying on the internet, so it's fine. And my friend Shreya, I've known her since school. She's literally the only person from school that I actively still talk to. She's my best friend, and she was in Canada इतने time से, and the timing just wasn't right. And like वो India नहीं आ पा रही थी because sometimes उसके college का कुछ चक्कर रहता था, sometimes some family issue or whatever. Like, but we haven't met in like 3 years. We haven't met. And now she's coming to India, and I'm so happy, more happy than I could have ever been in my life to see her. But it breaks my heart that like this is the version of me that she's gonna get when she finally gets here. Like all the good things that are happening in my life, now I'm not able to give my 100% to, because of, you know, this one aspect in my life that didn't work out. But it's also something that's just part of growing up. I was sitting with my manager. She's the sweetest person in the whole world, and like we have this whole entire relationship outside of just business and money and social media and all of those things. And she told me like this is part of growing up, and this is what you learn, is like a lot of things that you were taught were not true, and then this is life. You just get used to it. But I just really wanted to get on here and document how I was feeling. A, because I'm sure there's someone who's feeling the same thing. So this is probably nice to you to see that like besides all the magazine covers and the Dubai trips and all this, you know, shopping and Insta and makeup and fashion and this and that and hashtag life and hashtag explore and all these things, like people are still miserable on the inside. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean everyone else isn't hurting just like you. So matlab, now you know that besides everything, I still feel like a loser at the end of the day because my relationship didn't work out. And we're human beings, we're social creatures, so we put a lot of value in our relationships. And no matter what we have in sense of like money and fortune or wealth and all those other things, at the end of the day, if you're not fulfilled in your relationships, it doesn't matter, because I have everything. And I'm crying still, like, I have everything. There's not one thing that I don't have objectively, if you think about it, other than somebody in my life in a romantic sense. And then that's what I crave most. But also my friend Shreya that I mentioned earlier, I was on a call with her, and then we were just having this really interesting discussion, which I want to leave this video at. This was a quick little life update, and you know how I'm feeling, and I'm trying to get over it. I'm trying to do better. But I also had this discussion with Shreya where we were like, what if we were never taught these things? Like बचपन से, like, I have a bunch of dolls. Like, I really like dolls. I really like Barbie. मैंने बचपन से, I love Barbie movies. And हर Barbie movie की ending क्या होती है? Like, there's struggle, there's fighting, there's all these, trouble and all these things that happen. But in the end, happily ever after, everything's sorted. Barbie gets married to Ken. Barbie gets married to Ken. Barbie gets married to Ken. Like, this happens, this happens, this happens, but Barbie gets married to Ken, and that's the happily ever after. Then I watched a lot of Disney princess movies. Like, I love Cinderella. Cinderella is where I get my name. Like, that's, I don't know, like, fairy tales are a really big part of my life. And what happens in fairy tales is, like, you have hard times, and then in the end you find someone, and that's your happily ever after, and that's all that I saw growing up. And so, not that, like, I'm just curious, what if I wasn't constantly exposed to content like that? What if as a society, we never thought of finding someone, or marrying someone, or being with someone as the happily ever after? If we were never, मतलब शुरू से day one से, if that seed wasn't ingrained in our brains, that marriage or love or loyalty or commitment or flowers or gifts or all these things are what make a relationship, what would we just organically want as animals? Like, as a male animal, as a female animal, or whatever, combination it is for you, what would you just biologically want from your partner other than sex? If you weren't taught what a date was, if you weren't taught what a marriage was, if you weren't taught what flowers were, if you weren't taught what compliments were, if you didn't know any of it, like, what would you want from a partner? And that's, I think, my new quest in life is, what do I want other than all these, like, worldly, superficial things that I've really learned to value just because of the kind of upbringing and the culture that I grew up in. I just want to know what I want from the person, not what the person can be for me, or not what we can be together. But I think I want to know what I want in the moment that I'm with a guy. Like, what do I want most? Like, because when I'm with a guy, all I can think of is, like, the next thing. Like, where are we going out next? Like, what are we going to do in a year? What are we going to do in 5 years? What are we going to do when we get married? What are we going to do after we get married? What about kids? Like, I'm always thinking of the next big plan or the next big thing. So I'm thinking, if I take all of that out of the picture, I take all of the societal expectations and all these things out, what do I want? What do you want? And I think that's a really interesting discussion. We can have that in the comments, but I just wanted to make this video. And I hope that in some time when I look back at this video, I'm better mentally, physically, emotionally, every way, my career-wise. I hope I'm better. I hope one day I'm so far past all the pain that I'm facing right now, and I hope he's so far past all the pain that he's feeling right now, because we're both really young, and everybody's heart breaks the same. So I hope that this video will just be a silly little memory, a silly little piece of documentation on the internet one day for me to look back on and realize how far I've come. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.